The end of fishmarket. I had an interesting conversation today. There's a photographer creating these interesting composited photographs. You couldn't buy them. She doesn't even provide a service. So how does it work? Well, upon inspection, you realize she's just taking part in competitions and selling courses. And that pushed me towards a broader realization. The fish market is dead. There is just the fishing market now. But why don't we make sense out of the fact that everyone's switching from fish to rods now? For them, it's survival. But for you, buying the rod and a fishing course, it's a choice. And as such, it could be an unfortunate one if not considered thoroughly. Why? For the same reasons as usually. We look over the hood instead of far ahead. Learning to lead is not unlike driving a car. Back to main thought. Let's unpack it on two levels. The first one is whatever creative practice you take, with a slow market for creative services, it's no wonder unemployed creatives turn from fish market to a fishing one. But this is not a novel dynamic. In fact, it's typical of a desk of every single industry. The last survivors jumping on a boat of making a few dollars off of a dying industry. We've seen this with music, we've seen this with graphic design, we've seen this with stock photography. Remember Unsplash? These were tough and emotional discussions with Zach Arias, and not for no reason. If you missed it, worth attention. Now we see it with motion design and pretty much everything else design. In a wider lens, it's symptomatic for an entire industry folding in front of our eyes. But there is also a deeper level. I agree we live in the era of abundance, but here's why I'm not butterflies about it. For me, what's abundant now is not as much opportunity as are solutions. There's too many products and services. There's too much entertainment. There's too many images, too many stories, and too many films. The thirst and hunger is long gone. The oversupply fatigue kicks in all across the board. Remember the thrill of buying a cassette tape or a CD with new music? It was costly and prompted consideration. If you were lucky, you could preview at best, and the stakes were high. There was this unsatisfied thirst, and you'd better make a good decision choosing that record over the other. The next one would be a month away. Or even before that was available, remember waiting long hours into the night to record that rare jazz or rock performance aired just once in a radio? I do, and I remember the hunger. Today, there is no craving. Not only that, people develop numbness because all this great content is pushed down their throats. The double-edged sword of abundance. If you look at a lack of happiness studies across nations or listen to what's happening in the creative sector, what you see is not so colorful. Content consumers are depressed, and while I don't have a hard proof, I would bet that a strong reason of that is stimuli fatigue and abundance. This affects creators big time. If getting through and finding your minimum viable audience becomes such a challenge, and there's already everything out there, why would you even bother to create in the first place? And creators, besides often being desperate and frustrated, because it's now harder than ever to make a living selling creative services, are also depressed because of scarcity, of psychological and emotional rewards, of connectedness, of the fact that what you do matters to some. I would get too far here saying it covers the entire spectrum, because ultimately, it is the creators that truly create out of the need of being in the creation process that keep doing so. And artists that are there just for fame or the outcomes would be filtered out. Back to abundance. Remember Universe 25 and the Mouse Utopia? Well, John B. Calhoun, an American ethologist, conducted experiments with mice in the 60s and 70s, where he set up ideal living conditions with unlimited resources in an environment called Universe 25. Initially, the mouse population boomed, but over time, despite having everything they needed, the mice displayed severe social issues like aggression, neglect of young, and social withdrawal. Eventually, these behaviors led to the collapse and extinction of the colony, a phenomenon he called behavioral sink. This research is often referenced in discussions about the potential impacts of overpopulation, but it's also telling about the impact of abundance of everything on our motivations and well-being. Anyways, let's go back to my main point. With nearly all sub-industries and the entire creative industry undergoing a massive transformation, the following question becomes more important than ever. How do we future-proof our business? A moment ago, in the end of Undifferentiated Studios, I unpacked several reasons for why studios have it tough right now, and why revisiting the positioning of your business should be of utmost importance to you. I also sneaked in the idea of looking farther and using that insight, or a good leap of faith, to foster a bit more visionary leadership in your firm. In fact, that will be a recurring theme, as visionary leadership is at the core of my practice. The answer to the question would not differ much. If your business is down now, it's of critical importance to reinvent yourself today. And if you ask my advice, put your ego aside and seek external help to deal with it. Even if not for black belt expertise, at least for the external perspective. As the old saying goes, you can't read the label from inside a bottle. And if you're up, your number one priority should be how to make sure it stays up and relevant tomorrow. Anticipate changes. Imagine where the industry is going and take your clients there before someone else does. Because even if there is still some business as usual left, we're already scraping the bottom of the barrel, and it's not going to last that much longer. What is interesting is just this year, 3 prospects already approached me, all of them with their firms in a good condition. 2 of them actually celebrating 20-something anniversary of their business. We talked about and worked on imagining how to future-proof their business. The common thread? All of them were around their 50s or 60s. And here's the takeaway. Even if your business is unique, and I know it is, the business patterns are a bit more common, and it makes sense to learn a thing or two from the older and wiser. By now, you should have plenty of food for thought. Before you get into that, do me a favor, and please do spread information about this thoughtcast with your peers. One personal note to one friend is all I ask for. Despite I just started, we just crossed 20 subscribers mark. No, not 20,000. 20. And this makes me confident to keep going, and I truly appreciate every one of you. That's it for today. Thanks for listening, and stay prolific. Thank you for listening to the Future Crafting Thoughtcast, insights into leading, building, and evolving B2B brands in tech and creative sectors. Coming at you from Patrick Kisney, the fast thinker, entrepreneur, and advisor to audacious venture founders.